Selena Vargas had always known Madrid's relentless sun hid shadows deeper than the Sierra de Guadarrama's valleys. At 32, she'd carved a niche in the city's glittering tech scene, trading the humid sprawl of Miami for the cobblestone charm of Barrio de los Letras. Her parents, Cuban exiles who'd scraped by in Florida's Little Havana, had drilled into her the value of discretion: love quietly, work fiercely, never let the world see your cracks. So when she started at Reyes Tech 3 years ago, she kept her heart's compass pointed inward. No rainbow pins on her lanyard, no weekend stories of dates at Chueca's queer bars. Just flawless schedules, intuitive emails, and an unspoken loyalty to Magnolia Reyes that bordered on devotion. Magnolia was 35, a force of nature in stilettos, with auburn waves that caught the light like autumn leaves on fire and green eyes that could negotiate a merger or freeze a room. Born to Spanish immigrants in California's Silicon Valley, she'd clawed her way from startup intern to CEO of Reyes Tech, a firm specializing in AI-driven logistics that now spanned continents. Her office overlooked Puerta del Sol, a throne room of glass and steel where deals were sealed over cortados and the faint strum of flamenco guitars drifted up from the streets below. Magnolia demanded perfection, and Selena delivered it, anticipating her boss's caffeine crashes, rerouting flights during siesta-hour delays, even memorizing the birthdays of investors' mistresses to soften tense calls. But beneath the efficiency hummed something unspoken. Late nights bled into dawn, poring over projections with takeout paella and bottles of Rioja. Magnolia's laugh, rare and throaty, would crack the tension like lightning, and Selena would catch herself lingering on the curve of her boss's collarbone, the way her fingers drummed rhythms on the desk. It was a crush wrapped in caution tape, forbidden fruit in a garden of NDAs. Selena dated sparingly, a barista with tattooed forearms, a graphic designer who quoted Lorca, but nothing stuck. Her heart, she told herself, was a vault, and Magnolia held the only key she couldn't bear to forge. The board meeting that detonated it all was meant to be routine: Q4 forecasts, a pitch for expanding into Barcelona's port tech. The room smelled of leather and ambition, 12 executives in tailored suits nursing espressos. Selena slipped and lashed, balancing her tablet, Magnolia's agenda, and that damn coffee, black, 2 sugars, steaming. She'd overheard the whispers that morning, rumors of layoffs, whispers about cultural fit after HR's diversity audit flagged low scores. But Selena pushed it down. She was the glue, invisible and essential. Magnolia launched into her presentation with predatory grace, slides flickering like a predator's eyes. "We're not just innovating, we're dominating," she declared, her voice a velvet whip. The room nodded, mesmerized. Then, as Selena handed over the revised projections, her late-night labor of love, Magnolia's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number: "Saw you at the gala last week with that woman. Careful, investors talk." It was anonymous, vicious, the kind of poison that festered in Madrid's cutthroat circles. Magnolia's jaw tightened. She'd been seen at a fundraiser, arm-linked with a venture capitalist's daughter in a moment of harmless networking. But the text twisted it, and in her paranoia, her gaze landed on Selena, her assistant, who knew too much, who organized those events, who fit the whispers. It was irrational, a spark on dry tinder, but Magnolia, ever the protector of her empire, lashed out. "Selena," she snapped, loud enough to halt the projector. All eyes swiveled. "This report, it's sloppy. And while we're airing truths, let's address the elephant: your personal choices are bleeding into our professional image. Parading relationships that don't align with our brand values. It's unprofessional. Distracting. If you can't compartmentalize, perhaps this isn't the place for you." The words landed like shrapnel. Selena's face drained of color, her olive skin paling under the harsh lights. Parading. She'd hidden everything, her weekend with Elena the barista buried under alibis of family calls. But someone had talked, or guessed, and Magnolia, in her fear-fueled strike, had weaponized it publicly. The room gasped softly, a murmur rising like smoke. One exec coughed, another scrolled his phone, already drafting the leak. Selena stood there, tablet clutched like a shield, her voice a whisper at first. "Ma'am, with respect, my personal life has never." "Respect?" Magnolia cut her off, rising from her chair, all 5 feet 8 inches of commanding presence. "Respect is delivering without excuses. Respect is not making this company a sideshow." Her heart twisted even as she spoke. Selena's competence was her lifeline, but the text burned in her pocket, a phantom accuser. Selena's eyes flashed, not with tears, but steel. "Then consider this my notice." She turned, heels clicking like gunfire on the marble floor, and the door's slam echoed long after she'd gone. The boardroom dissolved into chaos, apologies murmured, calls for HR, but Magnolia sat frozen, the taste of bile rising. She'd meant to protect, to draw a line, but in her haste, she'd severed her own anchor. And as the anonymous text pinged again, "Good call. She's out." She wondered if she'd just handed her empire to the shadows circling it. Down in the lobby, Selena leaned against the cool stone wall, breath ragged. Her phone buzzed, a FaceTime from her sister, Isabella. She ignored it, dialing a cab instead. Madrid blurred past, tapas bars spilling laughter, street artists sketching tourists, but inside, a dam cracked. Isabella, 34, Captain Vargas of the USS Gerald R. Ford, stationed off Gibraltar, had always been the shield. "Mija," she'd say in their late-night calls, "the world chews up the soft spots. Bite back." But biting back meant exposing the wound, and Selena wasn't ready. By evening, the story leaked. Reyes Tech CEO boots lesbian assistant in shocking tirade. Twitter, X, whatever, ignited, hashtags like Madrid Me Too and Queer in Tech trending. Allies rallied, trolls swarmed. Selena holed up in her Malasana apartment, a cozy garret with bookshelves groaning under Garcia Marquez and Baldwin, the scent of jasmine from the balcony mingling with her unshed tears. She poured a glass of vermouth, neat, and scrolled the vitriol. Deserved it. Keep it professional. Magnolia's a hero for standards. A knock shattered the haze. Her neighbor, Rosa, a fiery flamenco dancer with silver-streaked hair. "Chica, you're viral. Come down for sangria, drown the bastards." Selena forced a smile, but inside, betrayal festered. Not just Magnolia's words, but the ease of them, the assumption that her love was a flaw to excise. Across town, in her penthouse atop the Gran Via, Magnolia paced like a caged panther. The text sender was untraceable, a burner app, HR confirmed, but the damage was nuclear. Investors called, feigning concern, the board demanded a statement. She drafted one, a private matter exaggerated. "Selena Vargas is invaluable, no one's going anywhere." But it rang hollow. She replayed the moment, Selena's flinch, that quiet dignity cracking. God, the woman was brilliant, intuitive in ways that mirrored Magnolia's own chaos. And those eyes, dark as midnight olives, had always held a warmth Magnolia craved but never named. She poured scotch, neat, and stared at the city lights twinkling like distant regrets. Why had she lashed out? Fear, yes, of scandals derailing the Barcelona bid, of her own buried doubts. Magnolia's ex, a Wall Street shark, had left her scorched, whispering that vulnerability was a weakness. But Selena. She wasn't a threat, she was the one person who saw through the armor. The next morning, Selena woke to a flood, emails from supporters, job offers from rivals. But one stood out, Magnolia's personal line, "We need to talk. My office, 10 a.m. Please." She deleted it, then fished it back. Part of her, the loyal part, itched to go. The rest screamed run. Isabella's call came at 9:45, her face filling the screen, salt-stiffened uniform crisp against the ship's gray bulkheads. "Sell. What's this shitstorm on my feed? That boss of yours, Reyes. I'm flying in. Gibraltar's close, wheels up in 2 hours. No, Izzy. Stay put. It's handled. Bullshit. You don't handle public humiliation. I'm your blood. We Vargas women don't bend. Selena's laugh was brittle. Says the one who once punched a drill sergeant for a bad joke. Isabella grinned, but her eyes, mirrored to Selena's, hardened. Pack your sass. We're ending this. By 10:15, Selena stood outside Reyes Tech's revolving doors, the autumn chill nipping at her trench coat. She could walk away, new life in Barcelona, perhaps, with a firm that valued her whole self. But unfinished threads pulled her in. Magnolia waited upstairs, unaware that the sea's fiercest guardian was inbound, ready to drag her empire into the light. The elevator hummed upward, a silver coffin depositing Selena into the lion's den once more. Her reflection in the mirrored wall showed a woman armored in resolve, black blouse tucked into wide-leg trousers, hair pulled into a sleek chignon, subtle gold hoops glinting like warnings. No makeup to hide the shadows under her eyes, she wanted Magnolia to see the toll, unfiltered. The executive floor was a ghost town, assistants banished by a terse memo. Magnolia's door yawned open, an invitation laced with desperation. She stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, back to the door, Madrid's spires piercing the smog below like defiant fingers. At the sound of heels, she turned, and for a beat, the air thickened, regret etching lines around her mouth, softening the CEO's perpetual edge. Selena. Thank God. Magnolia's voice was low, stripped of boardroom bark. She gestured to the leather club chairs, but Selena remained standing, arms crossed like a barrier. God had nothing to do with it, Selena replied, her Miami lilt sharpening the words. You did. Publicly. In front of everyone. Magnolia winced, running a hand through her auburn waves. I know. It was a mistake. That text, it threw me. Paranoia about leaks, the bid. I projected, lashed out. Stupid, unforgivable. She stepped closer, close enough for Selena to catch the faint citrus of her perfume, a scent that had haunted too many late nights. You're the best I've got. Hell, the only one who gets this chaos. She waved at the stacks of contracts, the glowing screens. Stay. Name your terms, raise, title, whatever. Selena's laugh was sharp, devoid of humor. Terms? You think a paycheck erases being outed like a criminal? My life isn't a line item, Magnolia. It's mine. The CEO's green eyes flickered, pain, yes, but something deeper, a vulnerability she'd armored against since her divorce 2 years back. Elena, her ex, had called her emotionally constipated, fleeing to New York with half their assets and all their fights. Magnolia had rebuilt, brick by ruthless brick, but Selena's quiet strength had chipped at the walls, unnoticed until now. You're right, Magnolia admitted, voice cracking. I was scared. Not just of the optics, of losing control. Of you seeing me falter. She paused, the admission hanging like mist off the Manzanares. Let me make it right. Dinner. Off the clock. Just us. Selena's pulse stuttered. Dinner. The word evoked stolen glances over tapas, unspoken what-ifs. But trust was a shattered mosaic, pieces too jagged to reassemble. I need time, she said finally, turning toward the door. Don't hold your breath. As she descended, her phone lit up. Isabella, touchdown in 2 hours. Barajas. Pick you up. Selena texted back, yes. And bring backup, your glare alone could sink ships. Isabella Vargas was a storm in human form, 5 feet 10 inches of honed muscle and unapologetic grit, her short dark hair buzzed on the sides, a faint scar tracing her jaw from a training mishap off Yemen. At 34, she'd risen through the Navy's ranks on sheer will, the first Latina captain in her squadron, trading Selena's bookish dreams for the deck salt spray. Their bond was forged in Miami's sweltering summers, sharing a room in their parents' cramped walk-up, whispering secrets under mosquito nets while Abuela's boleros crackled on the radio. You're the poet, Isabella would tease, I'm the sword. But swords dulled without poets to sharpen them. She arrived at Barajas in civvies, a leather jacket over a black tee, jeans faded from sea air, scanning the arrivals like a hawk. Spotting Selena, she enveloped her in a bear hug, lifting her off her feet. Mija, you look like you wrestled a bull and lost. Feels like it, Selena muttered, burying her face in Isabella's shoulder. The scent of ocean and engine oil grounded her, a tether to simpler wars. Over churros and thick hot chocolate at a roadside cafe, Selena spilled it, the meeting, the words, the viral storm. Isabella's face darkened with each detail, her coffee mug gripped like a grenade. This Reyes bitch thinks she can weaponize your queerness. In 2025. I'll court-martial her ass myself. Selena chuckled despite the ache. She's not all villain. Complicated. Intense. Isabella arched a brow, her captain's intuition pinging. Intense how? Don't tell me. Nothing. Crumbs. But Selena's flush betrayed her, and Isabella's grin turned sly. Ah, the boss lady spark. Classic. But crumbs turn toxic fast. We're confronting her. Tomorrow. My way. No uniforms, Izzy. This is Madrid, not a briefing room. Deal. But if she blinks wrong, all bets off. That night, Selena dreamed in fragments, Magnolia's hand brushing hers over a conference table, Isabella's voice booming across a crowded room, the sea crashing against Madrid's impossible shores. She woke to rain pattering her balcony, the city shrouded in gray, a rare mercy, washing away the headlines. Reyes Tech buzzed with uneasy normalcy by noon. Magnolia buried herself in calls, dodging reporters with polished deflections. Selena's on leave, we're addressing internally. But her mind wandered to that almost dinner, the what could be if she bridged the chasm instead of widening it. A knock, HR with sensitivity training mandates. She signed off absently, then froze at her assistant's hesitant voice, ma'am? Captain Vargas is here. For Miss Selena. Magnolia's stomach dropped. Send her up. Isabella strode in like she owned the deck, all broad shoulders and unyielding stare, Selena trailing with wary grace. The office felt smaller, the air charged as a pre-storm sky. Captain Isabella Vargas, U.S. Navy, she said, extending a hand that Magnolia shook, firm, assessing. Selena's sister. We need to chat. Magnolia nodded, gesturing to the chairs. Of course. Coffee? Water's fine. Isabella sat, posture ramrod, while Selena perched on the edge, silent storm between them. Heard about your little performance. Bold move, CEO. Outing my sister in a boardroom. That's not leadership, that's cowardice. The words landed like depth charges. Magnolia's cheeks burned, but she held Isabella's gaze, those Vargas eyes, fierce and familial. I misspoke. Deeply. It was a pressure point, a bad call. I've apologized. Words, Isabella cut in, leaning forward. She deserves actions. Reinstatement with back pay, public retraction, and a zero-tolerance clause for this bullshit in your company charter. Selena shifted, uncomfortable. Izzy. No, Sel. She dragged you through the mud. Time to dredge it back. Magnolia swallowed, the weight of command familiar yet alien here. She admired the protectiveness, saw echoes of her own sibling rivalries back in Cali. Fair demands. I'll draft the statement today, post it on LinkedIn, X, everywhere. And the charter. Consider it done. But Selena. She turned, voice softening. I don't want you back as an employee. I want you as more partner. Equal. If you'll have it. The room stilled. Isabella's brow furrowed, Selena's breath hitched. Partner. The word dangled, laden with possibility, late nights turning to shared dawns, Madrid's lights witnessing confessions long denied. Before Selena could respond, Isabella's phone buzzed, a secure line, urgent. She glanced, deployment alert. Med op off coast. Wheels up 1800. Her face tightened. Duty calls. But this? She jabbed a finger between them. Not over till it's right. She rose, hugging Selena fiercely. Call if she slips. Love you, poet. To Magnolia, hurt her again, and you'll wish for sharks. The door clicked shut, leaving echoes. Selena exhaled, turning to Magnolia. Partner. That's a lot. I mean it, Magnolia whispered, closing the distance. Their hands brushed, electric, tentative. I've been blind. Scared of this pull. But seeing you stand there, unbroken. It's everything. Selena searched her face, the rain-streaked windows framing them like a confessional. Then prove it. Slowly. No grand gestures, just truth. They talked then, really talked, Magnolia's fears of failure, Selena's guarded heart. Hours slipped by, rain easing to drizzle, the city exhaling below. By dusk, tentative lines were drawn, a coffee tomorrow, no titles attached. But shadows lingered. That anonymous texter. Still out there, watching. And as Selena left, her phone pinged, an unknown number. Think you're safe now. Wait for the board vote. Betrayal's second act was brewing, and this time, it aimed for the heart. The days blurred into a fragile détente, Madrid's November chill wrapping the city in scarves and secrets. Selena returned to Reyes Tech not as assistant, but co-strategist, a title Magnolia etched into the org chart with HR's bleary-eyed approval. Their morning started in the conference room, not her office, whiteboards scrawled with Barcelona blueprints, laughter punctuating debates over algorithms. Evenings bled into walks along the Retiro Park, leaves crunching underfoot as they shared slices of self, Selena's love for Bad Bunny's raw ballads, Magnolia's hidden tattoo of a phoenix on her ribcage, inked post-divorce as a vow to rise. It was romance in whispers, tentative as a first rain. A brush of fingers over falafel at Mercado de San Miguel, Magnolia's head on Selena's shoulder during a late screening of Call Me By Your Name at the Prado's outdoor cinema. This feels like us, Magnolia murmured once, her breath warm against Selena's ear, stolen, but real. Selena's heart, long cautious, began to unfurl, petals toward the sun she'd denied herself. Isabella's deployment kept her at bay, but check-ins were lifelines, grainy video from the Ford's wardroom, her teasing, don't let the suits soften you, sell, keep her on her toes. Selena promised, but doubts gnawed. The public retraction had quelled the storm, Reyes redeems trending with cautious praise, but bored whispers persisted. And that text? Selena traced it to a VPN in Barcelona, a ghost in the machine. Magnolia, too, felt the undercurrent. Her ex, Victor Hale, now a rival VC in Barcelona, had been radio silent since the divorce. But intel from a mole suggested he'd been at the gala, eyes on her every move. Paranoia? Perhaps. But when a board leak surfaced, internal emails twisting the firing into a mutual parting to shield Magnolia, she knew sabotage when it smelled like scorched earth. The high tide hit at the annual Reyes Gala, a glittering affair in the Palacio de Cibeles, crystal chandeliers dripping light, waiters circulating Jamon Iberico and cava flutes. Selena, in an emerald gown that hugged her curves like a lover's promise, stood arm-in-length with Magnolia, whose crimson dress evoked Spanish sunsets. They were a vision, power and poetry intertwined, drawing nods from investors, raised brows from old guard. You clean up lethal, Magnolia teased, her hand lingering on Selena's waist. Says the woman who could command a runway. Selena's smile was genuine, but her eyes scanned the crowd, instinct from years of vigilance. Victor Hale slithered in at intermission, all polished veneers and cologne sharp as betrayal. Mid-40s, with a jaw like chiseled granite and eyes cold as Pacific fog, he cornered Magnolia by the topaz towers. Maggie, darling. Heard you've gone. Inclusive. Bold pivot. Her spine stiffened. Victor. Still peddling grudges. He chuckled, low and oily. Just facts. Your little announcement. Cute. But the board. They're spooked. Diversity quotas won't save a sinking ship. His gaze flicked to Selena, appraising. And her. Charming. But distractions cost, love. Magnolia's fist clenched around her glass. Walk away, Vic. We're done. Oh, we're just starting. He leaned in, voice a venomous thread. That text. My gift. A reminder, you burn bridges, they bite back. Selena, overhearing from the shadows, felt ice flood her veins. The texter. Her hand found Magnolia's, squeezing, a silent I've got you. But Victor's eyes narrowed, clocking the solidarity. Ah. The poet enters. Careful, ladies, Barcelona bids tomorrow. Wouldn't want complications. He melted into the throng, leaving Rod in his wake. Selena pulled Magnolia to a balcony alcove, the night air crisp with pine from the Retiro. It was him. All of it. Magnolia nodded, face ashen. I suspected. But proof. Give me till morning. I'll dig. They didn't sleep that night, holed up in Magnolia's penthouse, laptops glowing like beacons. Selena, the data whisperer, unraveled Victor's digital trail, dummy accounts, paid trolls, even a whisper campaign to the board painting her as unstable influence. By 3 a.m., they had emails, irrefutable, damning, tying him to the leaks. But victory soured at dawn. A board emergency call, Victor, playing the White Knight, had rallied dissenters. Reyes Tech needs steady hands, his proxy droned over speaker. This entanglement risks our core values. Vote of no confidence, 7-5. Magnolia's world fractured. The company she'd birthed, now orphaned by her own past. Selena watched her crumble, the unbreakable CEO reduced to whispers against the window, tears carving paths through mascara. I fought for this. For us. And it poisons everything. Selena crossed the room, enveloping her. Not poison. Proof. You're more than Reyes Tech. You're you. They held there, bodies aligning like puzzle edges, breaths sinking in the quiet. Magnolia pulled back, eyes searching. What if I lose it all? For this, for us. Then we build anew. Together. Selena's voice was steady, a captain's oath. I've got your 6, remember. The board convened at noon in a sterile conference suite off Grand Via, no glamour, just stakes. Magnolia entered flanked by Selena and a hastily summoned lawyer, evidence binders in hand. Victor lounged at the head, smug as a cat with cream. Ladies, he drawled. Ready to concede. Magnolia slid the dossier across, emails, timestamps, his fingerprints in ink. Concede. No. Expose. Absolutely. The room erupted, gasps, demands for verification. Victor blanched, sputtering denials, but the paper trail drowned him. By 2 p.m., the vote flipped, 9-3 in her favor, Victor ousted with a severance gag order. Exhilaration crashed over them like Mediterranean waves. In the emptying room, Magnolia turned to Selena, cupping her face. We did it. You did it. We. Selena leaned in, their foreheads touching, the air humming with unspoken vows. Now, about that future. Isabella's text arrived as they emerged into sunlight, bored intel via channels, kicked his ass. Proud. Home in 48. Dinner on me. Love the sisters. 2 days later, under Retiro's cypress canopy, they gathered, Isabella in from Gibraltar, bearing a bottle of naval rum, Selina and Magnolia, hands entwined. Laughter flowed freer than the wine, stories weaving past into present, Isabella's sea yarns, Selina's poetic jabs, Magnolia's tales of valley grit. To anchors, Isabella toasted, clinking glasses. The ones that hold, not drag. Magnolia's gaze met Selina's, green on brown, a promise etched in irises. To holding on. As dusk painted the park gold, they walked arm in arm, Madrid's pulse sinking with their own. Betrayal had scarred, but scars told stories, of resilience, of love claimed against odds. In a city of poets and warriors, they'd forged their verse, not flawless, but fiercely, unapologetically theirs. And in the quiet aftermath, as leaves whispered secrets to the wind, Selina knew, this was the humanism of it all. Not grand triumphs, but the grace in mending, the romance in choosing again. Each day, a new page, each touch, a line unbroken.